Let us start with non-current assets. An important item under non-current asset is property, plant and equipment, also sometimes referred as fixed assets. Property, plant and equipment refers to tangible, long-term assets acquired for use in business operations. They are used for producing goods or services, or for rental or for other admin use. They are not held for sale in the ordinary course of business. Let us look at some examples of fixed assets. Examples of fixed asset include land, building, plant and machinery, computer, furniture, vehicles and other fixtures.
Professor, then fixed assets would be very high for all companies.
The relative proportion of fixed assets to total assets depend on the nature of business. Manufacturing firms would have more fixed assets than firms that render services.
Are fixed assets fixed to the ground?
That sounds very logical. Fixed assets are not fixed to the ground but are meant for long-term use, like a permanent, long-lived fixed assets. Remember, we visited load controls. So, these are some of the fixed assets that we observed in the factory. Now that we have understood what are fixed assets, the next important thing is recording of these assets in the books. What is the cost of fixed assets that need to be taken in the balance sheet? When you buy fixed assets, they are recorded at cost price. Now, what is cost? What should it include? What are the various components that we should include as part of the fixed assets? Let's take an example and discuss this. Suppose a company imports an equipment from Germany costing 50,000 euros. The company has to pay import duty of 6,000 euros. It also incurs a freight charges of 800 euros. Further, it's going to, let's say, employ a professional person and pays him 500 euros. It is also going to spend some amount for installation charges, let's say another 1000 euros. What is the cost of this equipment? What should we include as cost? Do we include all the items or only some of it?
I think the invoice price should be taken as the cost of the asset.
Freight cost.
What about the costs of installation?
Oh, great. You have both got this pretty well listed, a variety of costs that needs to be included as part of the cost of the asset. So, let us see what we should include. The cost of the asset should include not only the purchase price, but also other costs incurred in acquiring the assets. To conclude, IFRS states that the cost of property, plant and equipment must include all costs incurred to bring the asset to its working condition for its intended use. So, to conclude, let us see our example once again. What are the various costs that we need to include in calculating the total amount of fixed assets? This equipment will include the purchase price, it will include the import duty, the freight charges, the installation charges and the professional fees. A total cost of 58,300 euros, and that will be the cost of asset recorded in the books of accounts, and that is what will go into the balance sheet. At the end, we will also be reducing what we call as depreciation and then showing the net book value of the assets. But more on depreciation in the next module. We have now done with initial cost of acquisition. Let us now come to subsequent expenses. What are the expenses incurred subsequently, and should we what we call as capitalize it or should we expense it? Capitalization means it will be added to the cost of the asset and it goes to the balance sheet. But if you say expense, it goes to the income statement. Capitalize or expense is a major area of debate in organization.
Professor, that was very clear. But what about the subsequent expenditure incurred for an equipment? For example, a company buys a car and later they replace the tires. Can we add the extra cost of the tires to that of the car, as the tires have more than 1 year of useful life?
Haha! Now the car will run with 8 tires in the books.
Usually, There's a lot of debate in organization, as I mentioned, as to whether a subsequent expenditure is an asset that goes to the balance sheet or expenses that will be recorded in the income statement. Typically, expenses incurred for regular maintenance of an asset will be treated as expense. For example, replacing the old screws in a machine or putting some lubricants or just some minor repairs, all are treated as expense. But when it comes to a major item, subsequent expenses can be added to the cost of the asset only and only if it satisfies a few conditions. 1. Is it going to increase the productive capacity of the asset? For example, if an equipment was producing 100 units of a product and we add a new part to the machine. By adding this new part, it is now going to produce 200 units of this product. In such a case, the amount spent on the part will be added to the cost of the asset. Subsequent expenses will also be added to the cost of the asset if it is going to increase the efficiency or the performance of the asset. Efficiency, mind you, not from where it is today, but efficiency beyond the previously assessed level of efficiency or performance. There is a new rule that is applicable, particularly if you are following IFRS. We have what we call as component-wise capitalization. Certain property, plant and equipment are composed of many parts. These parts have varying useful lives or consumption patterns as compared to the equipment as a whole and are also periodically replaced. Let's take an example and discuss. For example, an aircraft. The aircraft consists of several parts or components: airframe, engines, upholstery and inside parts like the interiors, in-flight entertainment, rotable assets, parts that are normally maintained and reused and have different lives. Each of these parts have a different useful life and are periodically replaced. In all these cases, components have to be capitalized separately based on the fair value to arrive at the cost of the asset. And aircraft has multiple components. These components should be separately identified, and that depends, of course, on the extent to which they have similar useful life or consumption patterns, and we capitalize them accordingly.
Professor, then that would be a lot of work for the companies. They will have to carry out a detailed exercise for capitalizing each component.
You are right, Clever. However, that depends on the company and the kind of accounting system they use, etc. But anyway, it's just a one-time exercise. And still, all the other insignificant parts of the aircraft can be clubbed together and also depreciated together in the remainder of the assets. The most important advantage of component approach is this method helps reflect more precisely the pattern in which the asset's future economic benefits are used and consumed by the entity. It reflects a more realistic approach of depreciating the asset, which has different parts and that have different useful lives.
I have a question. My company bought an asset several years ago, and today it has appreciated to 10 times the original cost. Can we account for the appreciation in an asset like the way you mentioned about depreciation?
I'm a millionaire.
Cost or market value? That's a debate that's continuously happening in the accounting standards. The answer to this depends on which accounting rule or accounting standards apply to a company. If you follow accounting rule called IFRS, IFRS allows two methods for accounting of fixed assets. You have the cost model and the revaluation model. In the cost model, assets are at the historical cost minus the accumulated depreciation and the impairment loss. There is no upward valuation of assets. Now coming to the revaluation model. Under the revaluation model, an asset is initially recorded at cost, but subsequently its carrying amount is compared to the fair value of the asset. If there is any material differences that we need to adjust, we will adjust for that. So, if the fair value of the asset is exceeding its book value, the asset is revalued upward and the difference is adjusted as a gain in the comprehensive income statement. The revaluation model allows for both upward and downward value of the assets, while the cost model allows only downward adjustment due to impairment loss. Revaluation, of course, should be done periodically so that the assets reflects its fair value.
I want to know.
I know what you want to ask. What's a comprehensive income statement? Don't worry, we will be doing this in the next module.